What do you think is the biggest stumbling block that most people face with this kind of journey?
Honestly, is they have the woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, and you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people. Like, if you're a female, well, she's skinny and she doesn't work out as hard as I do, and everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many fucking people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that bullshit, all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow and realizing, I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline. It was important for me to finally realize, stop being all these fake people I used to be, stop being afraid. There was no growth until I cut myself down to nothing, to the person I really was, the real human being. And once I found out who I really was, that's when I started growing. I was trying to build on top of a lied, fucked up foundation. You can't build a house on a fucked up foundation. So I had to get down to the actual mineral soil of who I was, and that's when you can start real growth.
And what is the role that suffering plays in that, or the willingness to suffer?
It starts to peel all those layers away, all those artificial layers away. If you're willing to suffer and go back in the grind, that internal dialogue you have with yourself when you're in misery and you're uncomfortable, it's a real, scary, unfiltered, no lying dialogue between you and yourself. And people know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about when you're in a bad spot in life and your mind is saying all kind of shit. That's who you really are. That's the real you. No Rocky Balboa moments going on up there. You're like, hey, you know, it's round 14. Let's come on, we got this. No, it's like, fuck this, I'm out of here, man. This is crazy. That's where the growth happens. When you're able to stay in that moment and talk yourself back into the suck of whatever you're going through, and you start stripping those layers away. But as you're stripping those layers away, you're building calluses over top of shit in your mind. That's where the growth starts to happen, is when you have to force yourself to stay in it. You can't leave it. I don't think enough about people that have wronged me, or situations that have wronged me. Because once you've come to a place where you are really happy with who you are in life, no one fucks with you anymore. Even though they're fucking with you,
it doesn't fuck with you.
It doesn't fuck with you. You know, like all these, I used to be so hurt by everything in the military, and if someone did something or said something, like, man, I have overcome so much shit. There's not, I'm just in a really good headspace right now. My headspace, I own it. A lot of people own other people's headspace. I own my own shit now.
What do you mean own other? Like they're just all caught up in what other people think about them and running all these narratives in their mind.
That's right. They're more caught up in what other people think about them than how you feel about your own personal self. So a lot of people have their brain and their mind on rent to a whole bunch of motherfuckers in the world. I am paying rent on my own shit. I finally put a down payment on it, and I'm making payments every daggone day on my own fucking brain. So you don't fucking control that shit anymore, man. I got it. When I made the conscious decision to become a warrior, I realized that my mentality had to be very different. And what that meant was I had to put myself through a bunch of crucibles to gain the warrior mentality. Some guys are born with it, I believe that. Some guys are born because they have some great childhood and their dad's tough on them, and they build this mental toughness and this discipline in this kid. I didn't have this, so I had to design a crucible to put myself through to gain this warrior mentality. So what I mean by warrior mentality, which is why some people take what I say so literally, and they just say, my God, you're just crazy, you're gone. No, God had to put some people on this planet Earth to do very dangerous things to protect this country. Love it or not, I'm one of those people. So to have the mentality that I have, to be in a room that's 10 by 10, I have a weapon, I'm outside a door, I don't know what's behind that door. So our job as a SEAL, most of our time, like most of our job is to go behind, open a door and say, surprise, we're here. The thing about the surprise is I don't know what's behind that door. So to have that kind of mindset to say, I'm gonna look at AK-47 in the face repeatedly, you know what kind of mind it takes to open that door and not be afraid to shut that door and run away? I was building that callous mind through these things, bad waters, so even after I became a SEAL, I was still on the journey to become a better warrior.
Right.
And these races and all these events, it wasn't about being an ultra runner. I saw, first of all, it was about raising money, but also the selfish side of it all was I was building a warrior mentality by putting myself in the crucible of hell at mile 60 of a 135-mile race in Bedwater. What are you thinking? Blisters, shin splints, stretch fractures, peeing blood maybe. What are you gonna do now, David? How are you gonna get the next 70 miles in this race?
Well, that's when you find out who you are.
Exactly.
You know, it's like everything builds to that moment. It's all about that moment and that decision that you have to make when everything else is stripped away from you.
Right.
It's gonna reveal to you who you are.
Exactly who you
and
are.
what your character is.
Every morning I get up, I still get my run in every morning.
How do you structure the training?
The training is basically structured off of my schedule. So look at my schedule and I say, okay, Jennifer, what do we have today? We have this at 7 o'clock in the morning. Roger that. That means I gotta be up by 4 o'clock in the morning to run. That's how it works. That's how all my shit works. So she lays out the schedule of events.
2 hours. You just set it 2 hours earlier. Or whatever.
She says it could take an hour to get to Rich Rolls. Let's say we were at 7 o'clock today in the morning. It takes an hour to get to Rich Rolls with no traffic. Okay, let's block in an hour 15 for Rich Roll. Okay, we got that. The morning time, I'm gonna run 7 miles this morning. I need 52:30 for that. Roger that. Put in shit, shower, shave. Add that in. So the schedule dictates, but I have all that
just
time.
Push it back, right? So if that means getting up at 1:30.
Trust me.
Roger that.
I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Several.
How much sleep
times.
do you usually get?
I like getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Nowadays I can do that. But there's times where the schedule says, hey man, you're getting 3 hours. And if that's the case,
Right.
Merry Christmas. But guess what? Right now, it's easy to be happy. It's easy to smile. Those are the good times. The good times. Those times don't need to be trained. You know, I had to train myself for good times. Those times, for most people, don't need to be trained. What I'm trying to give you all is the misery of sometimes we go through in life. Those are the times we don't want to fucking talk about. We want to skip forward to peace. Let's skip all this pain and suffering and misery of real life. Let's cover it over, nice big blanket, and let's find peace. No, sorry, it's not possible. Gotta go into that fucking hellhole of life that you have that fucked you up and fix it. And that's what I'm here to do.
You got to go to war with yourself before there's peace.
That's what I say in the
That's
book.
what you say in the book.
You must go to war with yourself before you find peace. So I'm trying to give you tools on how to do that. And I'm not considering to smile and be happy about it. It's a hard journey. It's a real journey. A lot of people set these great goals, like they want to do Badwater, or they want to do an Ironman, or they want to be a millionaire, or whatever they want to do. They have these great goal lists, and they're amazing. Goals are important. But what we don't do in life, which is why people quit in SEAL training and they quit in these different things, we don't look at ourselves in the accountability mirror and take care of the number one thing before you start a goal. Let's take care of our insecurities, because they're going to surface when you put yourself in the crucible and you're suffering. Mm-hmm. You may be the best physically fit person on the planet. If you haven't handled your mind and handled your jealousies, your insecurities, whatever happened to you as a child and in between, they're going to surface at the time when your mind starts to question, why the hell am I out here in this race?
Right, because if you don't know why you're doing it, most people, I would venture to say that most people that sign up for these things don't really have a firm grip on why they're doing it. And more often than not, it is fueled by some insecurity or some sort of, ego issue.
What keeps a person in the fight is having purpose. having purpose. Leave the ego at the door, because the ego will kill you every time. You will always quit. So that's why I've been able to get through things, because I know I was a scared, uneducated kid who stuttered and had zero. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and hold myself accountable for who I wasn't and who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.